Just 2 days ago when I showed you this chart pattern, I was telling you that Bitcoin was about to break higher while everyone out there was panicking. We now see Bitcoin following this exact pattern and is now moving up to the next level. The next level is going to be one of the most explosive phases of this entire crypto bull market, and we could be just days away from this happening. Not only that, but what it means for the altcoins is enormous, because this is where we are about to approach altcoin season, and you need to pay attention to right now. So guys, hit the like button and let's get into today's video. Now guys, I haven't come here today to sit here and brag about knowing exactly what was going to happen, but this Bitcoin chart aligned perfectly with a pattern that occurs over and over again. And remember, I told you that this Woff pattern was basically designed to shake people out of the market, to shake out the newbies, to make them panic, to make them sell their crypto, to push the price down to a point at which the big money accumulates. And when you look at the comments down below on that video that I made the other day, where you had guys being like, I'm not bullish anymore, I'm thinking of selling it all and taking a break from this and then I see, I'll never buy crypto again, I'm finished. And then people being like, oh, all the YouTubers are ultra bullish, this is a time to get bearish. Guys, all the YouTubers are bullish because most of them have been around in the last bull market, and we understand exactly when times like this, and you see all the fear and stuff in the comments coming out, is exactly the time at which we turn around. And we literally did it perfectly. There was loads of news circulating that this is going to happen with the Fed and that's going to happen with the Fed, and then ultimately one day happens and then everyone changes and flips bullish. So we can look into the Bitcoin chart right now and you can see that this breakout has taken place. Now if you compare it with this Wyckoff accumulation, you'll see that we are now running up to the LPS section. This LPS section means that potentially in the next day or so, we could see some form of a little bit of a pullback. But remember, it's only going to be a little bit of a pullback. We can see that we're already starting to do it right here. We will likely run back in towards this zone somewhere around here, around 64K. If we still stay above 64K, I still remain incredibly bullish, and I do think that that means we're then going to see continuation. And what catalysts have we got for that? Well, in 9 hours from now, which is probably, just around the time of this video going live, and hopefully maybe I'll make it live before that, is that we're going to see the Fed basically update us on interest rates. Now, why the market pumped yesterday is because basically the Fed said that inflation had come down, which was a bit of a shock. Inflation coming down means that interest rates could well come down. If the Fed decrease interest rate, then we are literally blowing beyond all-time highs before you can even anticipate it. Not only that, you couple this with the coinglass.com liquidation heat map, and you can see there is a couple of zones up here. The first one sitting at around 67K, the next one sitting at 72K, that will add fuel to the fire. So as the price moves up through these zones, it's going to suddenly throw Bitcoin much higher, and all these little dummies who've been panic selling over the last couple of weeks will be absolutely hating life, okay? And I told you this time and time again, that as the price moves down, you've got to embrace what's painful. And the more I realized people were getting upset by my bullish content, the more I realized something that's really important. Before we look at where the altcoins are going, you must understand this, because if it screws you now, it's going to screw you even harder later on. And how many times have I talked to you about confirmation bias? Confirmation bias is when we have a belief about something. It could be that this crypto is going higher and someone tells me it's not, and I get angry, I get upset. And look at this cartoon, overwhelming disproof, okay? Telling us that something is happening, and then the little bit of proof down here, everyone's like, oh, this is the proof that we're holding on to because it supports our belief. Therefore, we don't like it when advice comes that is in the opposite direction. People were giving me bearish information, and while I didn't like it, and it did make me feel a bit crappy because I'm ultra bullish, I still had to pay attention to it, I still had to consider all the options, and I still had to weigh up and come up with my ultimate plan at the end of it. And therefore, I still kept cash aside for a rainy day that if crypto did continue lower, and the bears were right, that I was able to buy in lower. That didn't come, therefore I still have that cash reserve available. But we must be aware of this issue, guys, because when we get towards the top of the bull market, there's going to be a time I'm going to be telling you that you need to be cashing out of crypto, and you're going to be telling me that I am a complete idiot, okay? Because you're like so glued into crypto right now and you're making loads of money every day and you don't want to be selling it, but you need to be able to take different sides of the story from different people. And I'm not saying by any means that I'm right all the time. I can be wrong. I've been wrong quite often. But I understand this problem in myself and in human nature, and I understand the importance of trying to fight against it to be able to have clarity. Now guys, that's enough of a psychology lesson for today. So let's just jump into where the altcoins are going. Now, if you follow me over on Twitter, which is linked down below, guys, then you'll see that every day I'm posting about what's going on in Bitcoin. I'm talking about other things that are happening in crypto, and I often share advice from other alphas in the game. So make sure you give me a follow down below, guys, and you can keep up to date with all the stuff I'm talking about before it even goes live on YouTube. Now, Crypto Max, or the Scalping Pro, is one guy I like to pay attention to, some pretty decent alpha. And this is basically looking at the altcoin market minus Bitcoin, saying that we are basically in this period of time here before we run up to the next all-time highs. And this then inspired me to take a look at the altcoin market minus Bitcoin and Ethereum, because this is where we look at the looming altcoin seasons. Okay, and this is a logarithmic scale, so it shows like moves as percentages versus moves as like actual amounts of money, which allows us to look at kind of like how the last bull market performed against this more recent one. Okay, so what we can see, analyzing where we are right now, is basically after the last bull market finished, we ran into a bear market. We had this kind of like complacency, like recovery shoulder before dumping. And if you can see, we kind of ran nearly up towards that zone there, and then we had this pullback. Nearly up to that zone is very important, because then what I did is I looked to the last bull market, and you can see something very similar. We ran up, we had the bear market, we put the complacency shoulder in, we ran back down, and then look, on the way back up, we ran back up towards this zone, and we didn't quite meet there. In the same way we didn't quite meet here, you'll see that we then had some pullbacks and sideways action. How much was the pullback in this zone? We pulled back all the way down, around 32%, and after about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, we then pumped, and we then ran up in the altcoins something like 770%, which is an 8x in the entire altcoin market, which you better believe is massive for some of the altcoins out there. Some of the altcoins during that period of time, over the next 7 or 8 weeks, have the potential to be doing 10x plus. And you might not believe it right now, you might not feel that, but remember, after this run back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. So potentially in the 8th week, we could see that. What was it? 23% pullback. And we see a what? We say a whopping at some point 30%, 25% pullback. Okay? Very healthy, very normal correction. Okay, and what allows me to think clearly at a time like this is because I was in the last bull market, and I also made stupid mistakes where I sold those dips. Okay, so you did sell that dip. I'm not here to kind of like make fun of you, okay? I'm here to try and take your hand and guide you through this, because I understand how difficult it is with all the emotions flowing through your head all the time. So if it's not clear enough by now, then why haven't you subscribed? Okay, come on, get in the game. Now guys, here we are. In my opinion, of course, everyone's favorite, we are basically finishing off this dip. And let's have a look. You can see that we are basically, for the altcoins, in a buy zone. How do I know? Well, look, this buy zone here. You can see on the way up, we had a pullback into this zone, and then suddenly we rocketed out. Okay, so pump up, dips back, we see buying, and then it gets confirmed again, because every time we dump into this zone, it buys out. We dump into this zone, it buys out. Okay, so you can see that the altcoin market minus Bitcoin right now is printing what is fairly bullish pattern, okay, in that we're getting higher lows and we're creating what looks like some form of a ascending triangle. If this breaks beyond here, which could well happen if Bitcoin gets that catalyst of that kind of like news and stuff going, then I think the altcoins are going to shoot back to all-time highs very, very quickly. I do think that we are not necessarily going to rocket way through. We might see some form of a pullback, and we could then print something that looks a bit like this, okay? And that would be the ascending triangle that we've all been dreaming about. And it's really, really important right now that we focus our attention towards the altcoins that have been performing strongly while Bitcoin has a bit of a recovery. Now, you can use crypto bubbles, and you can pay attention to there being certain coins within this that have seen some good strength after this. Interestingly, Solana, Jupiter, this is the Solana ecosystem, has performed very strongly. It's no real shock that when Bitcoin is in, bull mode, Solana is also going to be very much in bull mode. And I think the Solana ecosystem is one that will benefit very heavily from an altcoin season. Also, you look across this, we've got a Cash, you've got Phantom, you've got Beam, and these are all basically fitting across the deep in kind of narrative. Okay, deep in AI crossovers, deep in gaming crossovers, AI gaming deep in crossovers. This stuff you can't really go wrong with. Tau Pretends are also having a strong run. So yeah, we can see that there are key narratives reacting to this. You've got the graph. Make sure that we're looking to key narratives right now, because that's where we're going to see the most growth, in my honest opinion. And interestingly, as we go to like the 200 to 300 mark, you can see that a lot of the meme coins are getting some really significant traction. And while I'm not always the biggest fan of meme coins, after this recent story about GameStop and Roaring Kitty, I do think that meme coins are going to see a significant bit of growth this bull market. Mainly as well, because people have kind of caught on to the overinflated like game that the VCs are playing, where they're basically making massive valuations for their projects and ultimately burning retail. So retail have kind of started to get smarter. They're now pushing towards meme coins. And meme coins ultimately are community driven. They're also driven by KOLs and influencers. So we've had pups picking up. We've also seen MOG and a bunch of cat coins doing pretty well. And also, if we go down the list, there's even more. Wen is having a really strong... Gummy up 52.8%. Let me have a look at Gummy. Now, Gummy is a coin basically created by Crypto Banter. And because Crypto Banter's got an enormous following on like YouTube and Twitter and stuff, he's managed to create a meme coin and a community that is really absolutely exploding right now. So actually, after this like really decent pullback, and this goes for a lot of coins, by the way, when they launch and pull back, this is something I want to say, because I know a lot of people have been panicking about some of the launches recently. This went down 73%. In the last 2 days, it's now recovered around 84%. This looks very bullish indeed, and I'm pretty confident that if Crypto Banter continues to drive this forward, that this could see some more sort of significant upside. And definitely, anything that is performing strongly while Bitcoin is in recovery mode, you want to really be paying attention to now, okay? Whether you like meme coins, whether you like Solana ecosystem, I don't really care, okay? You need to be able to identify what is getting on the move around the time that Bitcoin recovers, because if Bitcoin suddenly sees a shove back to 72k, you better believe, you know, coins like this and other coins that have been performing strongly could be doubling or even tripling in value in just the coming days if we suddenly get that bullish news from the Fed. So I guess the key to look at right now is, where is Bitcoin heading? I think Bitcoin is going to stall here maybe for a day or two, maybe less, maybe today, and then get going again. I then think we're going to be running up probably towards these highs to have another retest. There's no guarantee that we break straight through, but you know, every single time in the past that we've had these kind of longer consolidation periods, we do kind of tend to rocket through very, very quickly. I do think that that could happen for Bitcoin perhaps sooner rather than later. Where our next move goes from there, I mean, it does look that we could well be pushing towards 100k or so. There is a lot of bearish news and sentiment out there, but you've just got to keep paying attention. As soon as the market gets really, really hot and everyone's like aping into this coin and what should I buy today? Is it too late to buy this? Then guys, start to take some profits off the table. I'm going to walk and talk you through that over the coming weeks so we are prepared. There's no guarantee, of course. Maybe by the time this video goes live, Bitcoin's at 10k. The only measurements we can pay attention to is pay attention to the charts, yes, but ultimately you've got to pay attention to how you're feeling. You are the ultimate barometer for where we are in the market. You are feeling like really scared and panicky like I was feeling maybe a couple of days ago that my bags were down like a few 100k, okay? Then I'm like, okay, this is time to get bullish even though I don't want to, okay? And at the same time, in a few weeks when I'm, you know, planning on buying my mansion and I'm looking at that like Aston Martin online and I'm trying to like, you know, plan for my future gains and all this stuff, that's maybe when I want to start to get out. So keep paying attention to the key narratives, real world assets, of which you can see Ondo starting to look a bit more bullish. If Ondo then breaks out, then we can see a bit more continuation coming from Ondo. I also like Clearpool Finance, as well as a couple of others, but I'm not that deep in the real world asset space. I am, however, very deep into the deep in stuff and AI. I was talking about Nosana over the last few weeks being down in this buy zone. Since it was in this buy zone, it's all the way up here, like 79% plus. So many people scared and panicking during this period, and I was too, but you have to rely on the fact that your mind is wrong. Your monkey mind will get this wrong and you have to buy into the pain that you feel. I can see BVM taking a nice little bounce over the last sort of day or two, back up 15%. I do think that we could see a strong recovery, again, if Bitcoin continues to rally higher, and a bunch of other coins. You can go and draw these buy zones on, guys, okay? It's very simple to see where they bounce, okay? Where coins have been bouncing, draw your buy zone across. If it gets back into that zone, set an alert, get into it again, okay? And that's simply how you do it. And if you come across like Pangolin right now and it's all the way up here, and guess what? You probably missed it. Go and find another decentralized exchange on Avalanche. Trader Joe. I don't know what the chart looks like for that right now, but it's all very simple, and hopefully by now you've started to figure that out. Now, pretty much all the coins I've mentioned today are available on Bitunix, which is linked down below in the description. There's no KYC, there's no VPN, and therefore you can access this website no matter where you live in the world, which is pretty key. Not only that, but they've started to list way more coins because I have an exclusive relationship with Bitunix and they will list coins that I ask them to list. Therefore, if you want me to get them to list coins, write them down below. I'll then send all the coins that you send over and they will list all of the ones that they can. They recently listed BVM, they listed Brett, they listed Render, they've listed AIOZ, and the list goes on. So make sure you sign up through that link down below in the description. Also, If you are signing up through mobile, make sure you use that code, because by joining through the link or using the code, you're then going to be able to gain access to airdrops on those new tokens that are being launched. Also going to be exclusive competitions run with the House of Crypto, where they'll be doing giveaways, paid access to different groups and things that we're running, and so much more. So make sure you sign up for Bitunix, link down below. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, keeping things calm. If you've been messing up in the last few days because emotions got the better of you, don't worry, okay? Happens to the best of us. Make sure you've learned from it. Make sure you understood what happened to you during that period of time, what you did wrong, and how you can learn to build going forward. Hit the like button, guys. Subscribe. See you tomorrow.